Like to Pitch conference where you were teaching a bunch of us, brilliantly, may I add, how to pitch our novel to agents and editors. And you even sold this.
I did.
At a previous version of the conference by pitching it there. And you shared your pitch with us, and it was so good. So here's our fabulous crowd. Can you tell us what that pitch was?
Well, I wish I could. It's written on the back of the book, so I could read it. But I will just try and put it in my own words, which is to say it's about a woman who fears that this is her last Christmas. She's not so much afraid of dying, but she's afraid of what will happen to her kids after she dies. And her kids are in their 30s, and they're sort of drifting. And it scares her because she worries that they don't have foundation in her life. And so she has one thing that has always brought her joy, and that is the 7th edition of A Christmas Carol. None of the kids want it, much to her horror. And so she decides to sell this book to take her children to London to try to bring them the joy of Christmas. And along the way, she meets up with the angry ghost of Charles Dickens. And so it goes.
See, all the amazing elements. See, the dog didn't fit in the pitch.
I will say that
He is great.
I am jumping ahead to a question now you're going to ask, but not till I wrote this book did I realize that almost everything I've written has a ghost in it. And I think that, partly that's because when you hit a certain age, I think, you start thinking a lot about people who were really important to you and are perhaps gone now. Or you start thinking about your past a lot. And you can either have somebody sitting in a room and thinking about their past, but a ghost is a visual manifestation of the past. You can talk to a ghost, you can argue with a ghost. So it just seemed more fun to me to be thinking about Charles Dickens and that he would be angry at her, and she's got to figure out why. What did she do to get him angry? He was a man who was always short of money. He would understand better than anybody why she would sell that book. So anyway, that's so ghosts are important to me, and I realize I have used them a lot. Still do. It works. Well, also, there's something very intimate about a ghost, right? Like, we don't share a ghost. You have your own ghost. So what sort of ghost do you have, And so it's this intimate manifestation of yourself.
We're all thinking about our ghosts right now, right?
My work is done.
Not quite, not yet. So you alluded a little bit to it on the pitch, but I loved the fact that you have this mother of 3 adult children, and there's a lot of younger children here today, and the idea that, when they're younger, you have some version of control of what happens in their skin, but eventually they grow up, and it can be distressing if their lives don't go as you thought they were gonna, or as you think they want it to go. Right.
Exactly.
So I loved the 3 children in your book, and I would love for you to talk about what it was like to bring them into life, but also why dysfunctional families are such a thing that we all just get a kick out of, and how you brought them into the page.
I should say that I think all families are dysfunctional in some way. Like, I've never met a family where everybody was just perfectly contained. And if that's the case, then I always think there's something wrong. So it's not so much that I view them as dysfunctional, it's just that everybody has their own thing that they are prioritizing. And one of the great things about a family vacation, particularly with adult children, is you are taking, and I'm thinking of my own children here who are adults now, who are in their 30s, but I see them as being 12-year-olds. I mean, in my mind, they're cute little 12-year-olds who will pretty much do what I say. And you take them on a trip, and you think, oh, we're all going to go to the botanical gardens, and immediately, first of all, nobody's eating no one eats meat, no one eats, they don't eat brain, you can't find a restaurant anybody would go to, and then you can't find something everyone will agree to, and then you've got grandchildren involved, and that's a whole other thing. Then you've got to cart around the grandchildren and so forth. So I think, but I will say that I loved being a mother when my kids were, well, and still do. And I think I was a very devoted mother. I went to everything they did and all of this. And it was just surprising to me when they turned 25, I guess, or thereabouts, once they got their first jobs. And it was like, you don't know the parents of their friends. you don't know if they got home safely. You don't know what they're eating or if they're, and even if you do know, that's even worse. You can't do anything about it. So they do. My son would go to this Bonnaroo music festival, and I would be beside myself, and he would drive down there, but he was 25. Like, you can't say, oh, you can't take the car. It was his car. So anyway, all of which is to say, among my friends, the number one thing we talk about is our children, and are they happy? That's what we worry. It's not so much are they in trouble or blah, blah, blah. That's all fine. But are they happy? And we're all worried that they're not happy enough, and we want to do something about that. And that's where Mary really just goes diving in there, is she just wants them to be happy.
That's beautiful. So you talked a little bit about it in the pitch, but this book centers around this incredible copy of A Christmas Carol that is from 1867, and that the fabulous Nora Villard, her ancestor, got Charles Dickens to autograph for herself, and now it's been passed down all these generations. And yes, she needs to sell it so she can save her progeny and herself and find happiness again. But I loved the descriptions of the book. It was magical, illustrations. So can you tell us a little bit about the book and about the role of heirlooms for you? And also, do you have any heirlooms that might have inspired this magical thing?
Oddly enough, when I was in college, I went to University of Rochester in New York, and they had an antiquarian book fair. I had never heard of an antiquarian book fair. Like, this to me was a revelation, that you could go to a place and there would be old books. It was like heaven, really. And I went in, and I was wandering around, and I came across this copy of A Christmas Carol dating to 1915. It was not a first edition, but it was a beautiful edition, and I think I paid $50 for it, which at the time was a lot of money that I didn't have. And it was the first time I realized that not only are books fun to read, but that they're objects of beauty in their own right, that simply looking at and holding a book is a beautiful thing. I kept this book all through my career, growing older, et cetera, and when I began to write this book, I discovered to my surprise that it was not actually that valuable a book. It was very valuable to me, but like, if I wanted to sell it, I would get $100 for it, which is a lot. But over quite a period of time, it was not a tremendous investment. But I discovered that if you could get an early edition, the book Christmas Carol was published in 1843, and it sold out very fast. But if you could get an early edition, and if you could get an edition signed by Dickens, now we're talking like $40,000, $50,000. You're talking a lot of money. I wasn't going to spend, well, it wasn't an issue, I couldn't spend that much money, but I became sort of obsessed with this book. And I would go to Abe Books, and you know how they list these really valuable books, and I would look to see how much they would cost, and they would cost a lot of money. And then at the same time as I was researching this world, I came across a story about a girl who, Willa, her name was, and I forget her last name, but she actually met Charles Dickens on a train in 1867 when he was in New York on his final trip to the United States. And she got up the courage to talk to him. At that time, of course, there was no security in trains. So all she had to do really was make her way up. And he talked to her for some time. And she told him that she never really liked David Copperfield. And he said, why? And he took notes. And she wrote a book about that experience, which you can find somewhere online. But she went on to become a writer. I don't know what she wrote, but I was sort of transfixed by that, and I thought, what if that was my ancestor? So much of writing is about what if, right? Like, what if that? And I thought, what if I had an ancestor that had that copy of A Christmas Carol, and they passed it along to each generation of the family, going through 7 generations, and it came to me. And then comes time for me to pass it on to the next generation, and they don't want it. Because you read this stuff all the time, right? That baby boomers are looking to pass along their stuff, and their kids are like, no, I don't want it. And so that was really what started the book, and also gave me the idea of what each kid was like. The way each child rejected the book showed me where they were in their life and what she was worried about with them. And then I should just say, I did not buy the autographed edition of Christmas Carol, but I did buy a 7th edition, which is what Mary has. So, and the colors, I should have brought it with me and I didn't, but like the yellow of Mrs. Fezziwick's gown, they were hand tinted, and the colors are still just so vivid. It's just so beautiful, and I just looked at it and I thought, I was just awed. So that's my treasure.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And my kids promise me that they will take it.
You're going to give it to the eldest, which is what they're...
I have to go to the eldest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What a style.
It's true. Take the bookmark.
Her mom.